This is Pastor Sam DeChico from Concord Baptist Church. Thanks for joining us today. This is our very first podcast that we are hosting at Concord Baptist Church. We're going to get to know some of the folks in our church. We're going to start with our leadership team and then just share stories of folks, how they got saved, what their ministry is all about. And so over the next number of weeks, I hope you'll enjoy as we share stories from people's lives here at Concord Baptist Church. Hey, it's Pastor Sam DeChico from Concord Baptist Church again. Glad you could join us for today's broadcast. Today we have with us Sarah Bradford. Sarah is the wife of our associate pastor and head of school, Brother John Bradford. And this is his better half, Sarah, and she's with us here today. Sarah has a ministry here at our church and school. So we want to talk to Sarah today and see what her story is, okay? Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
Now, Sarah is from Tennessee and South Carolina, so if y'all can't always understand her, we'll put up some, no, I'm just teasing. Anyhow, I always have to tease her. She really has changed a little bit. She's kind of northernized herself a little bit. Her accent is not nearly as strong as a number of years ago when I first met you. Mm-hmm. But to you Southerners, I'm not trying to offend you. Okay, now let's move on to the interview. All right, Sarah, so I know that you were born in South Carolina, grew up in Tennessee. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Oh. Well, I was blessed to be raised in a Christian home. I was able to, I was an only child in the home. My mom homeschooled me my entire life. We lived out on a kind of like a farm, a lot of property where we raised some animals and all. So we were blessed to go to church my whole life. My parents always taught me about the Lord, and so I'm very grateful for that. When I was growing up, like they always would try to witness to me. They wanted me to get saved, and I was a little bit stubborn. I thought I will do it one of these days. I just wasn't going to do it when they wanted me to, I guess. And so by the time I was 9, I started thinking about it a little bit more, but I thought I've still got time. I'll do it later. And we went to a revival at the time, and there was the evangelist there was really preaching about hell and how if you don't know where you're going, you know, this could happen to you. If you need to know for sure that you're going to heaven by trusting in Jesus. And so I was really convicted in that service, but I was really shy back then, and so I didn't want to get up in front of everyone. So we went home, and I was laying in bed, and I thought, if something happens to me tonight, I am not going to heaven. So I called my mom down, and she prayed with me, and I asked the Lord to save, Jesus to save me. So I got saved then. But then as I got a little bit older, as a lot of teenagers do, I kind of I was like, did I get saved? Did I say the right words? Did my mom pray? And I did, I was just kind of overthinking and worrying about that. So my youth pastor's wife was able to just talk to me, and we nailed down all the verses about assurance, how God wasn't going to take his salvation away from me. And once saved, you're always saved. And I felt, after that, I had a good peace in that next phase of my life, you know, that I am saved, and I was trusting in Jesus for my salvation. And
Did you get baptized shortly thereafter?
I did. I didn't get baptized when I was 9. I waited because I didn't like water at the time, so I didn't want to get my face wet. So I think I was about 12 when I got baptized.
So you mentioned a couple of good things about your salvation. Number one, this was your decision, not your parents' decision, not a Sunday school teacher's. And that's very good, because sometimes kids, and we have to be careful as parents and workers in the church, that we don't, kind of really encourage the kids to get saved before they really understand it or really want that to be their decision. So that's great. Of course, when you hear the gospel, you don't want to keep putting it off either, as you well know. So that's good. The other thing you mentioned is about the assurance of salvation, and that is very common Even I went through that in my life of, was I really saved? Did I say the right things? That sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with reaffirming your faith. There's nothing wrong with making sure, because that's the most important thing that you have is your salvation. So, if folks doubt their salvation, not really sure, go to a pastor, go to a Christian worker, and make sure you get it settled. You don't want to go through life with doubts and questions concerning your salvation. So thanks for that testimony. So you were homeschooled, graduated as a homeschooler, and then you went off to Bible college. Tell us about that.
So I went to Pensacola Christian College, and I wasn't, that was not a choice. That was, my parents were like, this is what we can afford and this is where you're going. So I wasn't really thrilled about it, to be honest. But when I got there, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that was where God wanted me to be. And with being homeschooled and being an only child, I wasn't around people as much. So I was nervous about going to classes and interacting with people. And so God really helped me so much. He gave me a job there as a floor leader. It was basically just in charge of the girls on your floor. It was a floor leader on each end. And so we were partners, and we would just kind of check in on each of the rooms and make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to. But you really had to get over being shy and afraid to talk, because you had to do Bible studies with the whole floor and everything. But one fun thing was that, so I didn't meet Jonathan, my husband, until my last year in college. So my sophomore year, I think it was my sophomore year. I was going room to room we do different checks and different things, and you sit in on dorm Bible studies each night as well. So I went into one, and there's this girl on my floor, and she had requested prayer because her dad and her brother were going on a missions trip to Israel. And so I had gotten to know her quite well, really nice girl. And anyway, years later, I go to visit Jonathan up here and meet his parents and everything. And I'm walking through his house, and on his refrigerator, his parents' refrigerator, is a picture of this girl. And it was Lauren DeChico, your daughter. And so little did I know that I was sitting with someone whose dad would marry me and my future husband later on. And I would live up here, and we're friends. I see Lauren all the time. And so that was a cool, small
great.
World story.
Sure. Yeah. And that was my daughter's only year at Pensacola. She was down there and kind of just figuring out what she wanted to do in life. And so you graduated. What type of degree did you graduate with?
I was a youth ministries major with a secondary education minor.
Okay. All right. And of course, John did not go to Pensacola. He was at Crown College, so you wouldn't have met him there. Now let's kind of go back to your growing up days. You told me about your parents had an RV or a camper or something, and you traveled the country, right?
Well, we camped in tents for the first, 5 or 6 years of my life. And then after that, we kind of evolved to a pull-behind camper and then a pop-up camper after that. So
okay. So you've seen the whole country.
Seen it all.
Okay.
At least
wonderful.
every KOA.
Good. All righty. So after graduation from Pensacola, you went back to Tennessee, to your home church, which is?
Mount Pisgah Baptist Church.
And that's located?
In Oliver Springs. Tiny little town in Tennessee.
Okay. Which is not far from Knoxville.
Right.
Right. And John was going to school there in Knoxville, or Powell, Tennessee, I guess, which is close by, at Crown College. So you went back to Mount Pisgah. Did you start working for the church or the school there?
I did. Well, I worked at our printing ministry. We would print all different scriptures and send to missionaries and people that were going on missions trips. They could get Bibles, whole cases, John and Romans. We did other languages, but I was a secretary there.
Okay.
So that was where Jonathan worked a little bit in his summers. He would work there. So
okay, kind of like internship.
Kind of. He was working in the school, so when school wasn't in, he would work at the print shop, so he had some income.
Okay, so John gets hired by Mount Pisgah to be their principal. Is that right?
Right.
And you met John there.
On the bus route. Well, he was always big into ministry while he was coming to church there. So he asked to be put on a bus route. And at around the same, so he was working on one. And when I came home from college, I wanted to keep active doing things. So I asked to be put on a bus route. And they just happened to put me on his bus route.
Okay. And it was love at first sight on the bus route.
Well, I thought he was very handsome, but he was pining for this girl from college
Right.
that had broke up with him. So
And you had just been
I was
dating
actually
somebody.
dating someone at
Right.
the time, so I felt really bad thinking he was so handsome. But but yeah, we worked a lot together though, like on bus routes. You go visiting a lot,
And I know that that eventually evolved into a relationship and a romance, and you end up getting married, right?
yeah.
And that day of marriage, I was there because you asked me to perform the wedding. It was in Tennessee. It was in June. It was about 100 and some degrees.
It was so warm.
And we had an inside wedding first for the ceremony. Then all I remember is we went outside. It was a beautiful
Beautiful
outdoor
day. Yeah.
venue, but it was sweltering. So that's what I remember about your wedding more than anything else. All right. So you still stayed in Tennessee working there for another couple of years, right? All right. And then finally, I convinced John to come up here. This was his home church, of course, and I've been his pastor for a number of years. So he felt it was the Lord's will. He did come up here. You two came up, and you started getting involved in the ministry here a little bit, right?
At first, I was mostly stay-at-home mom because we had Emma, who was a baby when we came up. She was a year old when we came up.
Okay.
And then we added Jackson about 2 years later, within the next 2 years. So, but I helped Jonathan with the youth ministry. We would work with the teenagers and stuff.
Okay. Yes, I know you had the Friday night youth ministry, and that was a lot of fun.
It was.
And John was our youth pastor, of course, and he was then asked to be the head of the school after a number of years. So now your kids are all in school, so you have more time, and a few years ago, you end up as a secretary to your husband.
Yep, part-time.
Part-time.
Yep.
Okay, you guys
Much
can't
to
handle
his
full-time.
thrill. No.
So you work in the school office, right?
Yes.
And how's that going?
It's fun. I really like it. The kids, when they come in, I feel like a grandparent because I only get little blurbs of them, and I love them. Like, they're just so much fun. And so they could be, the class clown, or they could get in trouble a lot, but to me, they're just really sweet little kids. So I always love getting to see them. So that
Okay.
part's fun. And the families are also nice, and I enjoy that interaction, getting to see them. So.
Good. All righty. So you work in the school a couple days a week, help John out in there. That's
Yeah,
great.
I'm a housekeeper the other 2 days at another house. So,
Okay. All right. So speaking of houses, when you first came up here, I know that you stayed with your in-laws for a year or two until you kind
a year and
of
a half.
could
yeah.
figure out what you wanted to do. You end up buying a little house in Claymont, which was a nice little starter home. But tell us what your real dreams were for your house.
Well, I always wanted an older house, like an old house. Jonathan just saw it as a lot of work and a lot of money, so it never quite worked out. And we looked at many houses over the years. I think we put offers on 6 houses in 7 years, and every one of them we were outbid, or they just said no. There was always something. And so you actually, I know you didn't want me to bring you up, but actually you had brought this house up and said, Sarah, this looks like a house you would like. And I was like, oh, I saw that one, but that's like, we couldn't do that. I don't think it would work out. And you were able to, I think the Lord really used you to just show us, just looking at it more across the board, that like, well, if you sell your house and you do this and you do this, then it is affordable. Like, this is something that's feasible. So we looked into it, and we were really excited about it, and no one had put an offer on this house in over a month. So we thought, we have actually got this one. It was at a few things that people weren't happy about like sharing a driveway and to make it a little more, less desirable. And so we put an offer on it, and then someone else put one on at the same time. They took the other one. We were once again, we're like, it's just never going to happen. And so a month went by, and we thought that ship had sailed completely. And our realtor called us up and said, you know, that financing didn't work out for the other people, and the owners would like to sell to you, you know. And so all of a sudden, everything was coming to fruition. We were so excited, and actually Pastor and Lois, you guys came over and helped us get our little house in Claymont ready, and it was all spick and span. And within a short period of time, we were in the new house, so it was a blessing.
Great, and it's a beautiful old classic 100-year-old house.
Yeah, 114 years
down
old.
in the Bellefonte area. And tell us how you host. I know you love hosting people coming by your house, and you have a weekly Bible study. Maybe you want to tell us about that?
We do. We have every other week we do a Bible study, and some of them we rotate houses with some of the people that have homes. They don't mind having people in, but it's typically like in 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours. We have snacks. The kids play. Like it's a nice little community type thing. We do different studies. Right now we just started one on teaching the truth and love from a foundation where like hard subjects in today's culture, like you don't want to be all the way too loving where people think you accept everything, but not where too stringent on the other side where hatred, you know, there's hatred and also it seems like it'll be a good study.
Good. Well, listen, you have the perfect house for that. You have this, they put an addition on the back of your house. You have a big room to entertain. It's really a perfect house for what you wanted. And, you know, we just see how God works sometimes. And sometimes he shuts the door and we just keep praying and seeking, and he chooses at times to reopen that door. Yeah. So we just trust him, and he always has the timing down just right. So, well, listen, Sarah, I want to thank you for coming and being our special guest today. We got a chance to meet you and know you, and we know John quite well, and we wanted our church members to know Sarah Bradford. So thanks for being our special guest today, okay? All right.